Hello, 안녕하세요, xin chào. Hi, I'm Veniese Wilkinson. I'm the Research and Development Manager here at Point Avenue. So that means that I'm in charge of making all the content that your students see every day when they come to learn at Point Avenue. Today, I'd like to talk about our summer day camp. This is going to be our summer of curiosity, so we're calling it the Curious Camper. And I want to give you a lot of information about the what, the when, the why, and the how of this year's summer day camp. The first session will be 2 weeks. So that means students can join our summer day camp from June 9th to June 20th. And then we will have 2 more sessions, but those will be 3 weeks long. Session 2 is June 23rd to July 11th. And then session 3 is July 14th to August 1st. And now the requirements. All students who are kindergarten to grade 5 can join our summer day camp. We have 6 different levels. We have curiosity, mindfulness, gratitude, perseverance, positivity, and growth. So how does this work? It's mainly based on your child's reading grade equivalency. That means your child might be in first grade, therefore they are placed in one level, or it means that your child is reading at a first grade level, and that's why they are placed in that level. This is based on our Point Avenue spring levels. So for instance, we have our students who are not at the grade 1 level yet, and so maybe they're at our ELP level, but they're expected to join the ELF level in the fall. They would join our curiosity. But those students who are reading at the grade 1 level, right now, those would be our students who are at the ELF level at Point Avenue, but in the fall are expected to join EL1. Gratitude is in between. It's about a grade 2 level, but those students will be joining EL2 in the fall. Perseverance is between grade 2 and grade 3, and they will join EL3 in the fall. Positivity would be between grade 3 and grade 4, and they would be joining EL4 in the fall. And finally, we have our oldest learners who are at reading level of grade 4. They would be joining ELA with our middle school students. So our camp schedule, we have 2 sessions that are 3 weeks long, but even our 2-week session, the schedule remains the same. So each day, our students are going to start with reading, and then they will move on to writing. And for our level 3 students, our older students, they will be doing an academic intensive. Following, students will have lunch, and then they will do our enrichment programs, Cooking with Curiosity, Heritage Explorers. And then we have our Epic Project Quest, where students really get to show off their creativity and independence. And of course, we always have a field trip. Let me give you a little more details about our morning classes. We have our reading voyage. This is a guided reading class. This is to help students improve their overall reading speed, pronunciation, and comprehension through a guided reading approach. So students will get a chance to read stories and think about what is the hidden meaning behind certain words, what are the different themes, and they get to understand and build the habits of why it's so important to read. Next, they move on to our writing project. And this is all about writing fundamentals, because we know that writing is more than just words on a page. And so in our writing project class, students get a chance to practice academic writing through our lessons that support, meet, or excel at their current writing level. So this gives students an opportunity to work on sentence construction, grammar, but also how do you make a strong paragraph? How do you begin to write an essay that is organized and easy for everyone to understand? And then we have our academic intensive for our older learners. That will be our junior TOEFL program. But this doesn't mean that it only prepares them for TOEFL. These are basic test-taking strategies. So that means that these skills that they will be learning through junior TOEFL can be applied to IELTS, TOEFL, SAT, or any other kind of English proficiency test that they may be taking. And this is studying 4 sections: reading, writing, listening, and speaking. They will be taking practice tests. They will be going over different question types and the kind of strategies that you can do in order to read faster, in order to write clearer, in order to listen more carefully, and in order to speak more purposefully. In our Words and Adventures, our reading voyage class, I'll give you a little breakdown of how we approach it. First, we have the Scholastic. That's the guided reading program and method that allows students to understand how reading passages are usually organized. Are they organized by time order? Is it organized to describe something? And then how do you approach it? Then we have our nonfiction. These are our nonfiction stories that might explore the area of history or science. And then we have our projects. And these projects, students always love them because it gives students a unique opportunity to put together all they've learned in the reading class and then express it in a different way, in a more creative way. And of course, always reading skills, because we need to assess, did the students actually learn and understand the skills that they were taught? So we revisit key reading skills to improve comprehension, because we know that great readers become great thinkers. And then we have our writing project. And so this really breaks down writing in small parts. First, vocabulary. Students will have at least 5 targeted vocab words each day, even though we know there's much more. But we try to concentrate on at least 5 every day that the students are going to use in their writing. And they're going to write a topic related to certain vocabulary to help improve their writing. Then our language rules and practice. So we cover 1 to 2 grammar rules, but we cover it with practice and we cover it in a meaningful way, because we don't just want to do drills. We want to make sure that we give them skills. Next, we have our writing projects. Like the reading projects, our writing projects give our students an opportunity to practice different writing formats, maybe a letter, maybe an essay, writing a dialogue, writing an advertisement for a certain product. These are simple projects that can drive engagement and excite curiosity in our students, because that is the theme of this year's camp. Then our academic intensive. Yes, I did say it's junior TOEFL, but what does it really do? It helps improve their reading comprehension. So the students are understanding what is the importance of the topic sentence, the main idea, the supporting details. How do we look for transition words that are going to signal to us how to understand a paragraph? There'll also be vocabulary. That means 15 to 20 new vocabulary words per lesson, again, in a very meaningful way in context. There will be speaking projects and presentations to encourage students to speak clearly, slowly, so that everyone can understand, choosing the correct words and transitions, but also improving their public speaking, eye contact, all of those skills that we know are going to help them in the future. And then grammar. Every day we will be looking at grammar, but we're looking at grammar skills for everyday use. How to use the comma correctly. Where do we put a period or full stop so that our writing flows and our ideas are easily understood so people can see how they connect. And of course, writing. We're going to take students through the writing process. How do you begin with brainstorming, writing outlines, and then turning that into better summaries and paraphrasing, so that you're not copying words, you're paraphrasing it, putting it into your own words so that you can show understanding. And finally, listening. And so this is going to be guided so that students can listen to school-based dialogue, announcements, academic talks and discussions, and understand the critical skills that you need for important note-taking. Because we don't want students to copy every word. We only want them to copy the important words so that they understand how to take notes to answer questions in a standardized English proficiency test. On to our afternoon classes. This is going to give students a chance to have fun. These are our enrichment classes. And so students still will always keep it academic, but we have our Cooking with Curiosity. This course is to help students build confidence, learn basic cooking skills, and understand food science. They will watch videos, try simple recipes, and reflect on the food around them. The Heritage Explorers give students an opportunity to discover the great big world. That means they're going to be studying UNESCO World Heritage Sites on 6 continents. And that will give them a chance to focus on what makes Halong Bay so special. Why does it need to be protected? What makes Jeju Island and Hala Mountain? Why is it so revered in Korean culture? And they're going to learn about Machu Picchu, the Grand Canyon. How did these things even form? They're going to learn the names of different land masses. What's a continent versus a country? Learn the names of different bodies of water. So they get to think about what is a river versus a lake versus an ocean. And of course, why do we need to preserve these cultures? What can we learn from all of these UNESCO World Heritage Sites? So Cooking with Curiosity, I'll give you a little more detail. Students are going to discover the science and confidence in the kitchen. So we'll explore ideas like, why are pancakes round? Explain the science behind pickling. How does a cucumber become a pickle? Think about questions like, why does hot water make eggs hard but potatoes soft? And how to multiply or reduce recipes using simple math. So students get to practice addition, subtraction, division, and multiplication in a very real-world context. And what about calamansi, kumquat, tangerine, orange, lemon, lime? All of them seem related, but what's the difference? When do we use one? How do they taste? How do they differ in texture? All of these things are part of Cooking with Curiosity. And the students are going to learn kitchen basics, like how to identify different kitchen tools, what kind of ingredients we use when we're cooking, how to stay safe in the kitchen. And of course, we're going to be experimenting and thinking about what happens if we stir something, if we shake something, what is the real difference? And then food choice. What should we eat when we need a lot of energy? What should we eat when we need to calm down? And of course, one of the most important things, they get to work in a group. How can we collaborate? How can we communicate and show that we understand how to be a good team member? And our learning outcomes, students will interact with and think about all the ingredients through their 5 senses. They're going to gain practical knowledge about cooking techniques, kitchen safety, and how ingredients are used in different recipes. And this is very important. They get to enhance their English language skills through collaborative tasks and group discussions because they have to make certain decisions about what ingredients to put in. How do we make something sweeter? How do we make something less sweet? And then self-confidence. It will grow because it will build their self-confidence and sense of responsibility in personal growth and learning, because they will be making a lot of choices about ingredients. And Cooking with Curiosity, I'll talk a little bit about the focus by level. Our level 1 students, they will learn how to use tools safely. Level 2 students will think about the shapes and properties of ingredients. They'll experiment with different flavors, and they'll make predictions about things that look the same but are a little different. By the end of level 2, those students will understand what happens, what makes water turn into ice or steam, and what makes it stay a liquid. But they're going to explore that. They'll also think about the different flavors, the origins of different flavors and culinary traditions. So why do we use chopsticks in certain places? Where does curry come from? And then the impact of temperature on different foods. What happens if we freeze something versus what happens if we heat the same thing up? How does it change? And by the end of level 3, those students are going to think about how does motion impact food consistency? So if we scramble an egg versus if we're just beating an egg, what happens? And the impact of thymes and spices. How does pickling actually happen? What's the science behind it? And how to choose different foods, again, for energy, cooling down, and restoration. All right, and now the details about cooking with curiosity. There's going to be problem solving. That means not the teacher, but students will learn how to fix and brainstorm solutions for cooking problems. And then hygiene and safety, why it's important to wash our vegetables and fruit before we start cooking with them. And then how to be safe with utensils, whether it's chopsticks, knives, forks, it doesn't matter. And of course, the debate and discussion, how to use ingredients and explain preferences. So maybe we have a debate, which is better, rice or ramen? Or do you prefer pancakes or waffles? And math, measuring and scaling ingredients. How can a recipe for 2 people be turned into a recipe for 8 people? And the science. Does a tomato taste different if it's green, orange, or red? Are all those colors safe to eat when they're tomatoes? And thinking about how different colors and shapes can tell us about how something might taste and whether or not we can eat it raw or if we should cook it. And of course, decision making. How to choose food for health and different purposes. Our Heritage Explorers program is a very important program because students go on a journey with Heritage Explorers, discovering the world's wonders on 6 different continents. Sorry, we had to leave out Antarctica. But this course is going to introduce students to the wonders of culture and natural heritage through interactive activities, storytelling, and creative projects. You're going to think about the breathtaking landscape of Halong Bay and think about the ancient mystery of Machu Picchu, but also explore what is so special about Jeju Island and Hala Mountain. Students will learn vocabulary, develop communication skills, and discover the value of preserving our world's treasures. They begin to understand, how does UNESCO even choose a World Heritage Site? Sparking curiosity about the world. This means that they'll have hands-on learning with building crafts, model, maps, and timelines. They'll also build vocabulary, communication skills through geography, culture, and history activities. They're going to understand and respect diverse traditions, landmarks, regional sites, and culture. And most importantly, this will happen through exciting them through visuals, games, and teamwork. Key focus areas, of course, expanding their vocabulary. So practice simple sentence structures to describe landmarks. How do we go from just saying Halong Bay is so beautiful to say Halong Bay is a spectacular place to see all of nature's vibrant colors? And then geography and map skills, understanding basic geographical concepts, continents, countries, landscape, and measuring distances, meters, kilometers, critical thinking, recognizing the difference and similarities between different sites, and of course, the environmental and historical preservation. Understanding why UNESCO World Heritage Sites are protected and discussing how students can help preserve culture and natural heritage in the country that they live in or the country that they're from. So what are our learning outcomes for Heritage Explorers? Students will identify and describe UNESCO World Heritage Sites using age-appropriate vocabulary. They'll recognize and locate key landmarks on the world map. They'll understand basic cultural and historical facts about selected sites. They get a chance to express curiosity and appreciation for global and local heritage. And then they get to engage in creative projects inspired by the sites that they learn about. So let's get into the specifics by level. Level 1, they're going to learn how to measure distances on maps. They're going to learn how to correctly say the names of each continent, so they're not saying Antarctica when they mean Australia. They'll also understand the purpose of a legend on a map. How do we understand north, south, east-west, and how to measure distances using a ruler. They're going to understand why we take different kinds of transportation to different places. By the end of level 2, students will pronounce the name of different types of land masses and bodies of water. And they will be able to identify the types of structure that are common in different regions. Maybe some regions have a thatched hut, then other regions have a long house. Why is this? How does it have to do with the environment or history? Next, they will understand how to make and read dates on a timeline, which is very important because we notice in class some students, instead of saying 1984, they say 1984. And so we want them to understand how to pronounce numbers, how to pronounce dates when you are talking about historical things. By the end of level 3, students will be able to explain the human impact on the environment. How do things such as ecotourism support the preservation of our UNESCO World Heritage Sites, but how does tourism also cause and lead to some destruction? And what are some things that we can do as tourists to make sure that we preserve these World Heritage Sites for future generations? They're also going to think about the historical impact of different cultures. Who were the people who lived in Halong Bay hundreds of years ago? Who lived on Jeju Island 1,000 years ago? Who built Machu Picchu? What was the reason for it? How did they even move all those big stones and put them in place so that we can see them and enjoy them today? How about culture? We can discover UNESCO World Heritage Sites across the 6 continents. Think about geography. How does the land interact with the sea? How to read coordinates on a map and discuss directions. Thinking about kilometers and meters, how to measure distances and read dates. And history, learning about ancient civilizations and explorers. And then we have crafting and creating. So students get to build different cultural crafts inspired by the natural wonders of the world. And finally, we have our epic project quest. So students are going to be doing an interesting thing this summer. They're going to be doing mock trials based on some of their favorite children's stories. Maybe a mock trial about Goldilocks and the 3 Bears, or the 3 Little Pigs, or Red Riding Hood and the Big Bad Wolf. But what we're going to be doing is having students role play as if they're in a courtroom trial. So one of our older students will play a judge. Some of our younger students will play witnesses. But what this does, it gives students an opportunity to make these characters come to life. They get to practice pronunciation. They get to be creative, and then they get to collaborate and engage in teamwork. All of this is going to be filmed, so they will also learn basic filmmaking skills. Key focus area, listening and comprehending, because you have to listen to your friends so you know when you should speak. They will also learn clear speech and expressive language, argumentation and persuasion, because all of these will be happening in the context of a courtroom trial. They'll be doing character expression and role playing. That means they will learn to embody different perspectives and emotions. Social skills and teamwork are needed because they need to collaborate, learn how to take turns, and respect different opinions. And of course, the cultural and moral discussion. We'll be exploring themes such as honesty, trust, and justice in a familiar story context. They develop English skills, so they practice speaking clearly in full sentences with new vocabulary and context. Improve public speaking and confidence so they can speak boldly. Engage in collaborative learning, work together as a team, listen actively, and respect others' viewpoints. They will learn narrative role playing, which students always love. How can we retell a story in a creative way? And explore ethics and justice. They will discuss fairness, right versus wrong, and how actions have consequences. What does this mean? Your student will learn 300 new words. They will do 10 to 15 writing exercises, over 50 hours of speaking, and they will also have 50 hours of academic listening. And that is our program. The final thing, so that is our day camp program, but what will you be doing at home to support them? We have our summer reading. Rosie Revere Engineer. Every night, you will read 2 to 3 pages with your student, and get them to understand why it's important to be curious. And then we will use this for our mentor talk in the morning. All right, remember, children must be taught how to think, not what to think.